Series 7, The Contenders, is a satire released in 2001, directed by Daniel Minahan.
Yeah, it stars Brooke Smith as Dawn, who is the reigning champion of Series 5 and 6 of The Contenders. Yeah, it's like a reality show where people are picked randomly based on their social security numbers, which are picked out by basically lottery balls. And then, yeah, they basically have to kill each other. They're given a handgun each. And, yeah, whoever's left alive at the end is the winner. And you have to win like 3 seasons to get your freedom and not have to take part anymore. So Dawn has won 2 seasons so far, so you know she wants to win this season so she can be free. And she's 8 months pregnant. She wants to have her baby and yeah, live her life. And every season takes place in sort of the limits of a town or city. And this one is taking place in the place where she grew up.
New Haven, is that what it's called?
I think so. Yeah. So yeah, there's various other contestants. Connie, who's a nurse. Jeffrey, who is an artist who is suffering with cancer, who also used to know Dawn. They went to high school together. Lindsay, who's like an 18-year-old student. There's Tony, who's an unemployed. He's an asbestos remover. Yeah. And there's Franklin, who I think he's like an elderly, retired guy. And a bit of a sort of conspiracy theorist. No one has a choice in taking part in this. It's a bit like Running Man or Battle Royale. I mean, that's like a lottery thing as well. Royale. So yeah, there's lots of similar films.
I have never seen the Hunger Games, but that's
I haven't. No, I think that's a similar sort of thing.
Type thing. Turkey Shoot, an Australian film from 81, 82. Ozploitation is a little bit like Battle Royale, that kind of thing.
So yeah, there's lots of films of a similar ilk, but the difference with this one obviously is filmed like it's a TV show. I think they even filmed it on video, so it has that that TV show look, so like Cops or things like that.
Yeah, lots of kind of running around with the camera, following them around.
Exactly.
The
Yeah,
place.
every contender has a cameraman with them, and they're just filmed constantly. Whatever they're doing, they're all mic'd up as well. There's narration over the top, which is actually done by Will Arnett, who also has a small cameo in it as well. It's basically you're watching a sort of marathon of season 7 to see who wins. It sounds really simple, but it does give backstory. You see conversations between people. Obviously, the narration fills in some blanks, and you see flashbacks to previous episodes and things like that. And it's even has stuff like where there would be ad breaks. It has a coming up and things like that, and shows you little clips of what's coming up. Franklin particularly, I think, suffers from not really having any character development. You hardly see him. I think there's a scene. Should I watch the deleted scenes? That might have even been a deleted scene, actually. I think that one of the deleted scenes you see inside his house, and it's like got tinfoil.
No, that was in the film.
Oh, it wasn't.
I watched it earlier. Okay. Yeah.
So that is in the film. So yeah, you see in the tinfoil everywhere.
X-File, conspiracy
so
theorist.
He obviously doesn't want to take part in it. He's been forced by the government. I guess if you wanted to, you could root for one of them if you wanted to. You've got this sort of mild-mannered nurse who has to then turn into a psychotic killer, and the young girl who's starting out in life, and she doesn't want to. Her parents are like, no, we don't. Not our baby girl. We don't want her to take part, but they don't have a choice for whatever reason, which, like I said, is never really explained why this show exists, but it's again it's just one of those, you just got to go with it.
I have this on DVD. Mm-hmm. I don't think I've ever seen it. I bought it in Blockbuster.
Oh right.
Years and years ago. It was just like ex-rental type things, and I bought it. I never watched it, and I always wanted to watch it. I enjoyed it, I have to say. I mean, I think it did suffer. I'll say it first. So I was read other reviews of it, and a lot of people said they found it not polished enough. But I'm glad it wasn't. It feels like a TV show. If it was too polished, it would feel like a film. Yeah. And this feels like a TV show, and I think for that it works. Yeah. And it works as a TV show. I think obviously it's very, very low budget. Although, and I was quite surprised actually to find that a lot of I recognised one guy. I recognised Jeffrey, the guy who was ill, because of course he was in Buffalo Soldiers. He's the guy in the tank. He's like really stoned, which we covered a few months ago. But apart from that, I didn't actually personally recognise any of the other cast members, although as it turns out, they've all had, they are successful actors in their own right. Although for me, I didn't feel they really carried it that well, and I started to get a bit bored by the end of it. I think it was a really good idea. Obviously, it says a lot about America, the gun crime, which is not something we have in this country, although it's interesting. Well, the one thing that it reminded me of the most, and the first thing you see is it's quite heavy going. So you get Dawn, and she goes into this garage, petrol, what do they call them in America?
Like gas station.
So Dawn, she goes into this gas station, and then she just goes up to the man at the counter, and she just shoots him in the back, and it's in. And it's like, wow, that's quite hard hitting. And it actually reminded me of, there's a film, Elephant, not the Gus Van Sant film, but the Alan Clark film from the late 87, 88, which is essentially just 40 minutes of 18 murders in that. It's set in Northern Ireland during the Troubles, and it's literally just, it's a number of Steadicam shots that follow someone walking either through a park or in a factory or into a petrol station. There is one, and they just follow them in and they pull a gun out and bang, and they kill this person. There's no plot. That's literally it is, and it's a political statement on, and I think it's kind of saying, because you watch it and it's literally just one murder after the other after the other after the other, and you watch it and it's like, oh my god, when is this going to end? And that's kind of its point, is when is this murder just going to end? So I think, obviously, this film for us over here, it doesn't resonate with us as much, because obviously America has a problem, whether you agree with it or not, with gun crime and guns and the ownership of guns. And this is clearly a satire to a point on that, and also reality TV as well. Yeah. So I think it's a really interesting concept. I just think its production and the way it was filmed fell for me. I just found it started to drag a little bit. Obviously, it's not saying what things like Elephant was saying. There's another film, Man Bites Dog, which reminded me as well, which is about a serial killer that a documentary film crew follow around. A Belgian film from the early 90s. Strangely, that's what this film did. It reminded me of other things very like it that I really enjoyed. Although I did enjoy this, I think it worked. I'm glad I saw it. But Truman Show going on there as well, and is it Ed TV, the Matthew McConaughey film, another kind of obviously reality TV. We still live in a world of reality TV.
I mean, obviously, when this was made, it was a thing, but it wasn't like the sort of all-consuming parasitic cancer that it is now.
We have Big Brother, they had Survivor.
Yeah.
This came out around the same time as that, the beginning of that. We've obviously had some pretty diabolical reality shows over the years. We still do. America have their fair share, probably more. So I think America has a lot. They obviously have more channels.
I mean, stuff like Cops, I guess, it's been around for years. This kind of feels a bit like that.
It's got that energy to it, a fast-paced energy
and that,
to it.
If you're following real people around doing their job, I would find that more interesting than just something where you have to vote people off or just idiots sat around talking crap, which seems to be what we get spoon-fed now.
Yes.
At least, you're seeing actual reality rather than some sort of manufactured reality.
Essentially, what the film is asking is, at the time, reality TV had just kind of started to
Where's
be a
it going to
thing.
end up?
Where's it going to get? How shameful is the human race going to get? And although we haven't maybe quite got to this point yet, or hopefully ever, I mean, we do obviously. In America they film inside courtrooms, so you can witness people being sentenced to death.
When Big Brother first started, I mean, I didn't watch it at first, but then everybody was talking about it. You could not get away from it, and you felt like you were missing out. We just started watching it, and it actually, you got into it. But I think because they filled the house with normal people who then just slowly went a bit nuts and were backstabbing each other and all this stuff. That was interesting because you could relate to that to a certain degree. And I think this film is the same, where they take normal people. Obviously, the character of Dawn has already been through 2 seasons of this and is obviously now become this hardened killer. But the others, the nurse and the young girl, they're suddenly thrust into this program and have to sort of harden up very quickly. Otherwise, they'll be killed within hours. In a similar way to Big Brother, these people's personalities change as they sort of they start to bicker and things like that. Whereas I think as Big Brother went on, they started putting people in who were going to clash. They got more and more outrageous personalities in there. Who, as soon as they're in the room together, they're going to start disagreeing. That's not interesting to watch, because of course they're going to bicker and argue about pathetic crap. Far more interesting to see, I say normal, but just, everyday people, slowly change over time as they're put in this sort of difficult situation.
I mean, they do actually kind of do that in the film, don't they? Because they put Jeffrey and Dawn, who obviously know each other.
Exactly, it's all manufactured.
It's all kind of manufactured. Yeah. I think, actually, I was just thinking there while you were going off at Big Brother, that I think possibly, I think I know why this film didn't, because obviously, so this film was a satire on reality TV, but it kind of sidelines that other thing that it goes on in America and had gone on just before this film was released, and that is obviously what happens when people get a gun. And obviously America is, and there is one scene in this, I don't think it's a spoiler to say it, I won't put it in context, but there is a scene in this film where they go into a cinema theatre with a gun, which obviously when this was filmed, fine. But now, 20 years later,
that's a thing.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
And I think this film, although it's satirising reality TV, it's not satirising America's problem with guns so much. I mean, there's probably in there, definitely, because you're allowed to, you can own guns in America, you can walk around with them. But I think it doesn't, because obviously this film was a couple of years later than Columbine, and America has a problem with gun crime and individuals going out and spree killing and all of that. And I felt maybe this film sidelines that a little bit just to attack the reality TV. And maybe that's why I found it a bit uncomfortable, because it wasn't. But then that's not its point, and I understand that. And that's that it was going for reality TV.
I mean, there is kind of a sort of underlying hints that there's some big conspiracy, and obviously there's things that happen, like somebody ends up in hospital with a self-inflicted knife wound to the back.
Yeah.
So, and obviously you think, okay, the program makers are kind of manufacturing things that haven't actually happened and sort of pulling the strings, and it's not all just somebody wandering around. They're things are in motion in the background that the viewer isn't necessarily aware of.
So I like the fact that not much is said. You're just what you're showing on the screen is it, and they don't need to. Development of the story, of the plot. There's no backstory, as I guess.
No.
Which I like that they don't do. They don't, because I think the thing is, and again, the trouble is when you've got a lot of actors, there's a huge amount, but there's a few actors on there. If you develop everyone's story, you're going to get bogged down, and that's going to get tiring as well. And in a way, you just want to see them do their thing. And so I think there's definitely things here I enjoyed, and there's definitely things here I could have done without. And I probably I've seen it. Great. So, but it is quite an obscure film, and do you have it on DVD?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Great.
So, I mean, I can't remember when I got it, but it couldn't have been that long after it was out. I mean, I haven't watched it in a long time, so I didn't remember, it was quite fresh for me. I didn't remember much of it. There's no Blu-ray. Okay, like we said, it's quite obscure now. But there's a few extras on there. There's behind-the-scenes stuff, and there's an alternate ending. There's even footage where the director and Brooke Smith and one of their friends, I think, went to outside a movie theatre and were giving out flyers, to try and encourage people to go see the film.
Okay, sure, yeah.
But yeah, there's only DVDs available in some countries, but no Blu-ray. I mean, to be honest, because it was shot on video, it looked perfectly fine on DVD, and whether Blu-ray would really make any difference, I don't know. I mean, something like Blair Witch, I don't think that's out on Blu-ray, but I don't think it really improves the picture. In fact, I think it even exposes some of the flaws in the film. So,
in fact, you mentioned Blair Witch. There's another thing that obviously we spoke about films like Running Man and Hunger Games and Turkey Shoot. And all those other films that are quite similar, but it's also obviously like quite a bit like found footage films.
A little bit.
And in a way, because it's filmed it feels almost more like an actual found footage, because the way it filmed. Some found footage films, they're kind of filmed on good cameras, and you're like.
Or there's people with a camera there. Why are you filming this?
Although there is a section in that when one of the characters dies, the camera is like from her point of view, which I didn't quite understand. When she's battered to death by the old bloke, there's a point of view camera from her.
The thing is, each of them has got their own cameraman, so you can only assume that they're just
ran in and just
because they don't care about they're not there to protect them, they're just there to film them.
They're just
getting the most interesting angle, aren't they?
They must be being paid a lot of money.
Well, it's quite a dangerous job. At one point,
that's
Brooke's trying to get
scene,
get one of I think I can't remember who she's going for, but that person's cameraman is like right in the middle of the road. So no, I think it's a fun little film, and if you like found footage crossed with reality TV, that has some a bit of social commentary on it, check it out. It's a good fun hour and a half.
So that was Series 7, The Contenders, and as always, if you enjoyed the video, let us know in the comments below.
Hit that subscribe button up there, and don't forget to hit the bell for notifications. There's some other videos to check out over there. Come and find us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram, and come back next week for another one.